Welcome to Distorted Opinions. I'm Kayla, and this week I'm joined by Matt. Unfortunately, Ted couldn't make it. He had something come up, so we're going to do the show, just the two of us, and we're going to, I think we'll be okay. And hopefully
he's in our thoughts for today's episode, this week's episode.
Yes, and hopefully he'll be able to join us the next show. Because
he may be singing to himself, all by myself.
Perhaps. I feel like it's been forever since we've done a show with Ted, to be totally honest.
Indeed.
It probably really hasn't been that long, but it just feels like it. So we're gonna try with just this format that we've been kind of testing out over the last few episodes here, and we don't really have a topic, but we kind of have a topic. Mm-hmm. We're just gonna kind of see where things.
Let's just go into
where things go. Yeah. So
that's what she said.
Oh boy, we don't have our drummer here to.
Oh yeah. I don't have my. Oh wait. Oh no, I don't. I don't have my little Saint Anger tin drum.
Oh, that's all right. I think we'll survive.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. So a few weeks ago, Keisha was hosting with me, and I was talking to her a little bit about this acoustic group that I've been attending, a meetup called the Guitar League of Central Mass, which Ted's dad, Ned, who's a regular viewer and listener of the show, introduced me to. So shout out to Ned.
Shout out to Ned.
Yes, we appreciate the support.
The dawn. It's the dawn. The point in the dawn.
Is the movie reference.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's a movie reference. Oh, okay. It's a joke between you and Ned. I got it. All right. I was like, movie references, not my thing.
Don't even worry about. No. I think we think we've discussed that before. The movies. Yes, actually, that's something that we could talk about later on tonight in today's episode too. Is what latest movie have you watched? But we'll get to that later on.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'm just gonna take me a minute to dig out what I've watched. Hopefully you've got something for that, because I don't think I've watched any movies.
I could tell you recently. What I've seen in the movie theaters. I could tell you what I've seen on Pornhub. One of them.
Oh God.
Oh, I mean. Whoops. I mean.
Family friendly, HBO. Man. Family friendly.
They don't call it Freaky Fridays for nothing.
Oh dear. Well, technically it's Saturday when this drops, so I think you're a day behind.
Yeah, give my hand a rest. Wait,
no. Oh God. All right. On that note,
just go right into it.
So I've been attending these Guitar League meetups that they have monthly, and if you're not familiar with it, if you're in the Central Mass area, this group meets the third Tuesday of every month, although that might be changing soon. And it's free to attend the first meeting. And then if you decide you like it, you want to come back, it's either $10 per session or $75 for the year. So $75 is a pretty good deal to go see a musician play once a month and get to go play with other people. So I went ahead and I signed up for the yearly membership. And so last night was by the time this drops, it'll be October, but this was the September meeting. And they had a guitarist by the name of Scott Babineau performing. And I've heard Scott's name and I've seen postings that he's played at venues in the area, but I've never actually seen him play. And I deeply regret that after watching him play last night, because the performance that he put on was incredible.
Babineau sounds familiar.
He's been around. So apparently he's celebrating 40 years of being a professional gigging musician. So he's been around for some time, but he plays different instruments and he plays with different groups. So he actually told us right up front at the beginning of this meeting that by trade, he's a bass player, and he considers himself to be an average, and I'm using the term loosely, guitar player, because if this dude is an average guitar player, that makes me amateur hour over here. So he did a few covers, which I've seen that a lot of particularly solo acoustic guitarists use a loop pedal. And I don't know about you, but I've never personally used a loop pedal, so I don't have any experience with them, but I've never. Oh, you have one?
Loop pedal. Actually, I think it's the. Oh yeah, it is. I have the Boss. As people get to see my fat bum.
For those who are not watching, Matt just walked across the room to go get this pedal, so that's why he sounded very far away for a moment.
True, and also lately I've been having a dirty mouth, so I'm gonna keep it up. But hey, I'm gonna keep it clean. But might have a couple of slips. But if I catch myself, you're gonna hear probably some amateur
funny
stuff.
alternative.
That's the reason why I like if you saw my fat bum. So, anyways, yeah. I'll tell you what, Kayla, if so you said you never experienced a loop pedal before?
I've never used a loop. Nope.
So I'll tell you this. This for a while was my best friend. So for those that are watching the episode and whatnot, this is the loop station by Boss. It's the RC2. They discontinued this one, which is pretty funny because they have the RC1, and then they have the RC3. And then they have the big boy version. I think it's called the RC50. Don't quote me on that one, but they don't make the RC2 anymore, which is really funny because you don't see these more, or if you do, they're cheaper than the RC1 and the RC3. Now, but that's I could probably save that for a Gear Talk episode. But I'll tell you this, Kayla, when I made, my debut album, Reflection to Shadows, this pedal was my best friend. And what's great about loop stations is depending on the type of the loop pedal you get, some last, 30 seconds, sometimes some of them may even last like 4 minutes. They are not only a great practice pedal, but it's also a great pedal to improvise. And when you get improvising and whatnot, then you come up with creating of songs. So this ended up being a awesome best friend. I didn't need anything else except for maybe a distortion pedal in this. And you could go, and the way you could also how you connect it as well is, say if you wanted to use a chorus for, say, like the melody, and then you want to do a solo over it, it'll keep the chorus pedal and while you solo over the melody of the part and whatnot. But I don't know, as a guitar player, I'm surprised you don't have one, but I highly recommend looking into them or not. And hell, I could even let you borrow this. This is it's phenomenal. It's very creative. And more importantly, it's fun, because what's also great about this type of pedal too, and I know I'm kind of slowing into like Gear Talk, but I'm gonna back out. Some of them come with a tempo. So this has a tempo changer where the metronome, you could change it to either 4/4 or 3/4 timing, and you could speed it up, you could slow it down, and when you record it, you could speed that up or you could speed it down. So it's definitely a multi type tool pedal, but definitely highly recommend checking out a loop pedal one, because again, they're really, really fun. I know it's helped me with soloing, whether it's slow or, trying to be fast and whatnot. But again, just because you're fast doesn't mean you're a great guitar player or whatnot. Sometimes even the greatest guitar players have the slowest solos. It's all about staying in that key or whatnot. But but anyways, that's my little tangent on a loop pedal. But I apologize. So you were saying about
no. So I was just gonna say, I seen the guitarist they had last month had a loop pedal, and I've seen it used on YouTube and social media, and I've obviously heard songs where a loop pedal is used, but I've never personally used one. And I feel like it's one of those things that if I got one, I then would be like, all right, now what? But maybe not, based on what you just said. So one of the really cool things so Scott because this is a perform and a Q&A type thing, he would play a song and then people could ask questions. So he had been using the loop pedal and he was looping different layers of his guitar and then kind of doing exactly what you described. He was soloing over it. And somebody asked the question, how do you know when to transition when you're doing your loops and like where to make the changes if you're doing multiple levels of looping? And I was talking to Ned after because we carpooled. So on the drive back, I was talking to him about it and I was like, I feel like that's one of those questions that's not really easy to answer because not having used a loop pedal, I just have to assume that you kind of have to just use it and practice using it and practice making transitions in and out of your loops. And it's something that just kind of comes to you. And that's basically the way Scott answered the question. But it was like, I feel like it's not something that somebody can explain to you necessarily how to do. You just kind of have to learn how to do it. You've used one, so you would know better than me on that.
Yeah, and if I could probably maybe piggyback off of what Scott said is, as a user who uses this pedal, a couple things come to mind. One, it's definitely something to, if you're gonna be playing a solo gig and you're using a loop station, I couldn't tell you, practice is gonna make it perfect. Sure. Okay, because you have to think about one other thing too, is timing. So in the beginning, everything sounds great. Okay. And, let's say you have 120 beats per minute type of a song. You have to make sure that not only are you following the pattern of the loop, but you're also following the being in time with that pedal too. Right. So there's been plenty of times where I thought I was in tune, and when next thing you know, I zoned out, and next thing you know, I'm slow or I'm fast, and it completely messes up the whole integration of the actual song itself. Sure. So timing, definitely pattern progression, and practice is definitely going to make a musician who uses that type of a loop pedal really effective. So that's just kind of, piggyback off of what Scott's saying, but it is true. You can't really explain, how. It's really like, if we were to, so we played songs, Kayla. Okay. We play songs at jam sessions. Okay. For some reason, when we play songs, okay, we know what's coming up. We know what's going to be the verse. We know what's going to be the bridge, the chorus, verse 2, solo, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that's kind of similar to a loop station, because if you think about it, a loop station is nothing more than just like a copy of what you originally played. Right. So if you know what you're playing, how you recorded it, it may be a better way to understand that it's no different than trying to look at, say you or you looking at me, knowing what the next part of the song is.
Right. Yeah, very true. It's, again, not having used one, it's hard for me to talk about it from a user perspective, but I can tell you that what I saw him doing with a loop pedal last night was very impressive. In fact, Ned leaned over to me at one point, and because Ned had told me he bought a loop pedal after seeing a lot of these other acoustic guys using them, but he leaned over and he was like, but I've never seen anybody use a loop pedal in the way that this guy is using a loop pedal. So if you aren't following us on Facebook, I shared on the Distorted Opinions Facebook page earlier today. They had videoed Scott performing his rendition of Toto's Africa, which I think everybody out there knows Africa. There have been a lot of covers of Africa. I've heard a lot of covers of Africa. I have never heard Africa played the way this guy played Africa last night. And I'm glad that they had it on video, because I was blown away and I was like, man, I would love to share this with people who weren't here. And it's a cool cover to begin with, but then about 4 minutes into it is when he starts using the loop pedal. And you watch him as he lays down these different kind of layers of what he's about to do. And I think he probably had like 6 or 7 different loop tracks going by the time he was done. And then he just played this really crazy solo over it. And I was absolutely blown away by this. And so if you haven't seen it, go to our Facebook page and check that out, and I'll reshare it because by the time this episode drops, a few weeks will have passed. But I mean, I couldn't even believe. I was like, wow, okay. And so Ned and I also talked about on the way home, Ned was saying that some time ago he had a 4-track, I think you probably had or still have one, a 4-track recorder.
Yeah, the Tascam Porter Studio.
Yeah, I feel like everybody had one of those. I still have one downstairs. And we were talking
it's worth money.
Is it really?
Oh, big time. If you try to listen, you try to look up a Tascam Porter Studio 4-track. I'm not going to lie, because, and I'll say it by fact, because I tried looking it up, okay, not that long ago, and it was like $300 for a used one. Wow. It's crazy.
I thought for sure they'd be like pennies on the dollar now that people have gone digital.
You would think. But you know what, though? Analog's coming back.
That's true. Yeah, you could. Okay, so something else we talked about briefly a few episodes back, Metallica just put out their 30th anniversary Black Album box set. And if you go to their website right now, they've also got a remastered version of the Black Album on cassette tape. So there are artists that are re-releasing their stuff on cassette tapes, which is like, who would have thought that this would be something making a comeback? So that's interesting to know. I did not realize that the 4-track and the 8-track recorders were still a hot commodity, but apparently they are. So Ned was saying he would use his to kind of practice putting down different layers of guitar tracks to kind of work on practicing a song. And then he was like, come to think of it, that's basically what a loop pedal is doing now. So, I mean, in theory, what you're getting out of a loop pedal is the same kind of functionality you might have gotten if you laid down a few different guitar tracks with a 4-track recorder and went to kind of play that back. So it's really interesting the way technology has changed. And I know there are a bunch of different loop pedals out there, and I don't know which one he was using. I don't think it was the same one you have, but it was a loop pedal, and there's different ones. And
was it like green, had 4 buttons on it?
I'm not sure. I didn't actually see his pedal board, to be totally honest.
Line 6 makes a great loop pedal.
Okay.
Definitely, it's pricey, but it's definitely worth it.
Okay.
It's actually called the Line 6. Well, it's really like a delay, but it has a loop function attached to it, and it's the Line 6 DL4. They do have a loop, like straight loop pedal, which is called the Line 6 JM4.
Okay.
But a lot of musicians you'll see nowadays, like kind of like how musicians use a tube screamer. It's always, the what is it, the TS9 or something like that. They'll use for a looper or a delay this type of a Line 6. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea, and I don't know whether or not he said what he had for a loop pedal. I know he had a cool little Boss wireless thing it's basically a pedal, and then you've got the actual wireless transmitter that plugs into your guitar. And he was saying he can walk a pretty good distance away and still be hitting the pedal. A signal. Yeah. Which to me is interesting that now wireless transmitters and receivers come in pedal form, because I don't know if you remember when I was in high school, I had a Nady wireless system that I actually got. It was on clearance at Guitar Center. And back then it was a box with antennas on it, and you plugged your cable into your amp, and then you had the wireless transmitter, which was like a battery pack that you clipped onto your strap, and then the cable from that you plugged into your guitar. And that was what a wireless system was when I had a wireless system nearly 20 years ago now. And now they have just this little tiny thing that plugs into your guitar, and there's no cable or anything. It just plugs right into the jack, and a pedal, which is just crazy to me, but very cool. I might look into one of those because not that I do a lot of gigging or anything these days, but it's nice to not be tethered to a cable if you don't need to be, which is one of the reasons I liked having a wireless system in the first place. But wireless systems do come with drawbacks, and if you've ever seen Spinal Tap, you've seen the whole scene where he's picking up the plane as it's flying over, and that continues throughout the movie. And I think that's a little bit exaggerated, but you can definitely get interference with a wireless system for sure.
I could definitely tell you that the days of using a wireless system, actually high school days, end of high school, early college days, I was big into, writing songs and different types of pedals and being creative with different types of sounds. And I always found that the wireless system, it was good and then it was terrible. There was no in between. Let's talk with the good. Obviously, hey, it's great to go ahead and run around, interact with fans, and not have to worry about tripping over a cable. You could jump around, you could spin around, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's great. That's probably the only good thing. Now, the bad is I know, and it's probably because of the system I was using, unless, Kayla, you and I were using the same type of system. But the one thing that I can never get comfortable with was the wireless module that I held on to had a volume knob to it. And what I found difficult and frustrating was on certain songs, I had certain tonalities. I had maybe 3 types of distortion pedals, say like a metal zone, a tube screamer, and say just a foot switch so I could have the natural dirty channel on my amp. The one thing I always found, though, is that if I use this module system, the volume acted like a gain, and it completely threw off my whole distortion sound, and it was so frustrating. It was when it came down to maybe trying to just do a regular chord progression, it was so muddy, and it was just it was embarrassing. So, but if you turn down the volume, then you can't hear, and you're lowering the signal. So it's again, you can't really, and of course, before someone out there, thinks they're gonna be smart aleck and be like, well, maybe Matt, you just didn't change the batteries. No, I changed the batteries. Every gig I had a poop load of 9 volt. So
right.
But I always found that to be difficult. Did you ever find that to be difficult with yours?
So I haven't used mine in a long time, but I don't remember it having a volume control. I feel like it was just on or off. There might have been a gain control on the receiver portion of it. And if there was, I probably set it to something and then didn't touch it, because I'd have to go look at it, but I vaguely remember that there was some sort of a knob, but it wasn't like you had to basically put a screwdriver into it to be able to turn it. So it wasn't like something that you could easily bump on the front of it and change your levels. But I don't really remember. I don't think there was anything on the transmitter portion of it. I think that just it was on and off, and that was it. I think definitely the bigger issue was interference for me. If there was something nearby that would interfere with the signal. On a smaller scale, I don't know,
fire department, police department,
like AM radio stations. Sometimes I would pick up, no joke, I would pick up AM radio stations with the receiver from time to time, which was really bizarre. And quite honestly, that system could even be, I guess, what you would consider illegal, because there have been so many changes with the frequency allotment for wireless devices that it's possible that thing's on a frequency that's not even allowed to be used for audio equipment anymore. Because I know that's been a regular issue with wireless microphones, because working in a TV environment, we were always having to check the frequency range on the microphones that we had in the studio, because if all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, these frequency ranges are being allotted to something else, well, now all of a sudden your wireless mics can't be used anymore. And now you have to get a whole new system of microphones, which isn't cheap, by the way.
So for our listeners, and maybe probably you could put it in maybe a small like paragraph bullet point form, but why are there now, and this is probably gonna sound funny, so forgive me, but is this have anything to do with like the higher frequencies, like it could give you like radioactive like cancer or something like that, or what is it, what are the regulation, why is there like a filter?
It's more that they just allot that certain frequency range to different things. So I think there was a range of frequencies that were being used for microphones that got reallotted for emergency use. So like first responders and those sorts of things for radios. I mean, that's the thing. All of that wireless stuff, radios, like radio stations, radios, ham radio, radios, wireless transmitters for microphones, for instruments, whatever it may be, that stuff is all radio waves. It's really just a matter of what entity oversees what devices can be used on what frequencies. And so they kind of, in this case, it's the FCC, they set the guidelines for what devices are allowed to use the frequencies. And sometimes they reallot those frequencies. TV's the same way. Like you may recall, God, I want to say it was maybe 10 years ago at this point, there was a whole, what they called the repack of the stations. So a whole bunch of stations moved to different channels because those frequencies were reallotted to something else. So those channels had to move elsewhere. And that was a big process because depending on where it's moving, you need different equipment to make that happen. So it's the same thing with microphones. If they suddenly decide that a certain frequency range is being allotted to something else, now you're not allowed to use those microphones anymore because it's possible that they could interfere with whatever it is that has been allotted that new use of that frequency range. So I don't even know what range my wireless system is for my guitar anymore, but I've had it for so long that there's a very distinct possibility that I probably can't even use it anymore because
Kayla breaking the law.
But I haven't turned it on. I'm not interfering. It's not like I'm transmitting my guitar over the police department's frequency that they're using for their radios on calls and stuff. But
that would be funny if you did, though.
It could if it were like, I don't know what those frequencies are allotted to. So that might be something to go check out later, because now I'm just kind of curious as to whether or not I could even use that system. But I feel like it was on clearance and it was like $99 when I bought it, which back in the day was a lot of money to a high school kid with like a minimum 100%. Wage job of $5-6 an hour working 6 hours a week or whatever it was. That was a lot of money. But, now you go look at a wireless system. I was looking at that pedal, and actually, I think I might still have the browser open, because when he said what it was, I was like, I'm going to go look this up now because I want to be able to refer to this later. He had a Boss WL50 wireless system, which Sweetwater carries, and it's $233. So for reference of like where we're talking in the world of cost of guitar gear, when I paid $99 for my wireless system, this is quite a bit more expensive. And granted, I am not as poor as I was as a high school student, but still, that's a lot of money to spend.
It's still a lot of money.
Right, for a wireless system. Now, if I were a gigging music, they've got a demo model that's $198.99. Now, there's something to maybe consider.
$40 cheaper.
That's right. And a demo, it was probably just played by like one person as a testing kind of thing at Sweetwater. So I feel you're still.
It looks like the WL50 is the latest. Oh, there's a WL60, but there's also a WL20.
There is, and I didn't look at that yet to see what the difference is. Could be the range.
But again,
it's not a pedal. It's both ends of it are basically a 1/4-inch plug. So you plug into your amp and then you plug into your guitar directly. It says with cable tone simulation, whatever that is. I would have to look that up. But I'm always more inclined to lean toward if there's somebody that I know is using it and they give it a good review, that tends to go a lot further with me than looking things up on the internet from people I don't know. So like if I see this guy using it and I can hear what it sounds like and he's giving it a glowing review and I know he's playing a ton of gigs with it, I might be more inclined to be like, there's something to check out. So because I've seen some other wireless systems recently and they get mixed reviews. And so I'm always kind of like, I don't know if I would want to spend the money.
A little bit of an asterisk to this episode is Kayla, I, and Ted spoke on equipment and, you know, being a guitar player, you know, what do you pick up when you're a guitar player, you know, and we may have probably touched on this and I'm going to bring it back just for a moment or not, but pretty much in a nutshell, what Kayla and I are mentioning in this episode is that being a musician, especially if you're a guitar player or a bass player, it's expensive because look at it this way. Your guitar, your cable, and your amp are all really just pre-qualifications. Now, some may say, hey, you know what? That's all I need. Okay, then by all means, go ahead. But if you're that ambitious musician that's all about curiosity, then yes, that's going to be a pre-qualification because you have pedals out there. You have wireless systems out there. You have loopers out there. You have different types of strings out there. So they all pack up. It starts emptying that wallet very, very fast.
Right.
So word of advice. If you're not gigging as much, okay, then, hey, you know what? Play with what you got. Okay. Really look into the pedals. Okay. Something that you're going to really spend time with. If you're looking, you know, I feel like every musician should have some sort of a wireless system just because it's fun. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a cable, but you know, again, you kind of want to jump out and be like, oh, freedom of the world. You know, it's kind of like getting your license and just having a car, you know, getting into a car, just driving, you know, you don't have to feel, you know, linked. It's, and then obviously you have the different types of instruments that you could play or whatnot. So again, you know, it all packs up, it all builds up.
Right. Well, you didn't even get into my recent investments in guitar picks, which is a whole other, we've talked about that on a few episodes too.
Yes, we did. How many guitar picks are up to now?
Well, I gave away 2 to my guitar teacher, Greg. Shout out to Greg if he's listening here. I gave him 2 for his birthday. So I think I am down to, I have either 30 or 32 left in my possession. And spoiler alert, I got 2 more on order with Jack at Chiquetto Picks because
so 2 more
really cool
to make picks. Up for the 2 that you gave.
That's pretty much. I mean, wow. I've if you were to ask Jack, I'm sure he would tell you that I've reeled it in significantly over the last few months. Like I really, for a while there, I was on a tear with, it was like a couple of picks a week that I was buying.
Oh, you were going strong for a while.
Yeah. So I've reeled it in because I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, I got 32 picks that I can play with, and every single one of them is different. They're all different thickness. They're all different shape. They're all different Colored. In tone. They all play differently. So, and I've talked about this before because like, I know you guys have been hassling me about how many picks I bought, but at the same time, while
you're explaining all that, I just pulled up my calculator and I just went,
yeah, if you average that out to about $20 a pick, some of them were more. But here's the thing. Okay. Yes, that's a lot of money, but that same amount of money would have bought me like maybe 1 pedal or maybe 1 like mid-level guitar. I'm going to ask a stupid question. How many guitars do you need is what I was going to say, which the answer is you can never have enough, but I've got enough guitars to keep myself entertained for a while. So Like,
if
that's Richie, a lot of picks.
If Richie V, my dad, is listening to this, to the episode, he would have had a heart attack by saying, "How many guitars do you really need?" That's like trying to call someone a bad word.
Your dad, okay, with guitars is the equivalent of me with picks. I swear he's got a new guitar like every other week.
His new thing now is amps.
Amps too.
I think he's up to number 7.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I've joked with Matt's dad before, and I've asked him, like, when you go to a rehearsal or a gig or something, do you have a room with a big turnstile in it and you just spin it and grab whatever guitar lands in front of you? Because I feel like at this point, that's basically what his setup has to be. He's got so many guitars, and now the amps. Now he's got the collection of amps.
Yeah, but God bless him though. He's in now 2 bands and whatnot, and it's good seeing him play out. Me being a young dad, it's I take advantage of it, when we all get together to have our jam sessions and whatnot. But I'm not gonna lie, I definitely miss out, getting on a stage and playing in front of people. But I'm glad to hear that he's like, oh yeah, I got a show coming up. And I'm like, oh, how many? He's, oh, I got another one coming up too. Or he'll be like, oh, what do I pull? What do you think I should pull out? Should take out the Riviera, or should I take out the Strat? And I'm just like, damn it. I don't know. Use the lottery system on your phone.
Yeah, I was going to say he needs to use, there's a site where you can enter in like names and stuff. He could just put all of his guitars in there and just let it randomly pick one every time he goes to a gig. And then he doesn't have to worry about making that difficult decision because the site will do it for him.
It's kind of like grab one of these and
yeah. Basically, I mean, yeah, Rich has an insane collection of guitars and pedals. And like I said, it was a rhetorical question because the answer, truthfully, is you can never have too many guitars. But in reality, my wallet says otherwise. So yeah, okay, I've spent a lot of money on picks. However, all of those picks allow me to experiment, in my opinion, a lot more than just getting one guitar for that money or just getting 1 or 2 pedals for that money. I every time it's like, all right, I can just pick a different 1 or 2 each night, and each one's going to play differently. So I definitely feel like I get a lot of experimentation and motivation and incentive to play out of having some new picks. But I've reached a point where 30 picks is plenty of picks to keep me busy for a while. So I'm not like, I've reeled it in. I still sometimes, like, I've seen 2 that I'm like, okay, those are really cool. He had a Death Fog pick, which was like a gray and white, which was pretty cool. Ooh. And then he had one that was a blue and green swirl, like a bright blue and bright green. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I kind of think I need that one. And then earlier this week, he had a really cool one. I think he called it like Solar Flame or something. And it was orange and yellow with a really cool swirl. And he's done a couple in that color scheme this week, but in my opinion, none of them have been quite as cool as that first one, and I missed it when it went up on the website. So probably a good thing because I really don't need to be buying more picks, but I do like the picks.
Yeah, definitely check out Jacketto's picks.
Jacketto picks, yeah. Shout out to Jack. Jack, also a longtime supporter of the show. So yeah, anyway, I feel like this kind of turned a little bit into a gear talk, but we didn't go too techy deep on people.
Too deep. No, we were talking about Scott's equipment and your experience seeing him and whatnot. So
yeah, definitely go check him out. Like I said, I shared the video of him playing Africa. He also did, and I don't know if they had video of this because I didn't look yet, but he did a rendition of Rocket Man by Elton John that was really cool. So if that's on there, I'll try to share that as well. But definitely go to the Central Mass Guitar League or Guitar League Central Mass Facebook page, or go check out Distorted Opinions because I've shared it over there too. And give this video of Scott performing Toto a watch because it's really incredible. And he almost didn't play it. He had a friend that was there last night. He was getting ready to play something else, and his friend was like, play Toto. And he was like, well, I wasn't planning to play Toto. You've heard me play that before. And he's like, but they haven't played it. And I'm really glad his friend told him to play it because, boy, talk about a real treat that we would have missed out on if he hadn't played it. It's absolutely amazing. And to hear what he's doing with a loop pedal was really inspiring. And like I said, now I'm kind of feeling like, maybe I need to see about getting a loop pedal. But at the same time, I think there'd be massive amounts of disappointment because I wouldn't be able to do anything close to what this guy's doing with it. But I think it's all.
You never know because you haven't experienced it. Haven't experienced it, and not until you actually have it that you go, oh, actually, you know what? Kind of like that song.
True. Yeah, true. So I don't know. Maybe it's something for me to save up for now that I'm not buying a ton of picks. But I think before I invest in a loop pedal, I probably should get my get the Bandmaster fixed, because that's been like a year now of I need to go take that and get it fixed. So I should probably
take the number of picks that you bought.
I know. Well, I'm also in the middle of dealing with a bunch of like home improvement projects and a situation with the camper. So that stuff kind of trumps everything right now. But once that's taken care of, then I can get the amp fixed and I can think about getting a loop pedal and maybe a new wireless system. We'll see. But on that note, Matt, I know you're on a bit of a time crunch tonight, so we should probably go into our song of the week so we can wrap up the episode. And hopefully, I didn't talk to you before we started. Hopefully, you've got a song of the week pick. If you need a minute, I literally,
hey, I'm not gonna lie. When you were finishing up, I was like, oh, I gotta get this. Oh, actually, here,
you pulled a Ted.
Here's my Spotify right there.
Got the Spotify playlist out there, and just scrolled up until you hit something.
So, all right, we'll jump right into it. So.
Okay.
My song of the week, and I know I mentioned this a couple of episodes back, but I can't help it. Okay. This group is just too great. And I'm going back to the Pumpkins. I'm talking about Smashing Pumpkins off of their second album, Siamese Dreams. But this time I'm talking about Cherub Rock. Cherub Rock is just, you know what? It would be unfair of me to say that Cherub Rock is phenomenal because the whole album is phenomenal. Okay. And it would be really hard. It would be really selfish of me to say that my song of the week is more like the album of the week. So I have to narrow it down. Okay. Could it have been Today? Could have been Disarm? Couldn't have been Rocket? No. I chose Cherub Rock. It's a phenomenal album.
A lot of options there.
Lots of options and whatnot. You know, it was either going with Siamese Dreams or Melancholy and Infinite Sadness. Which one of those albums it was, but again, I can't help it. I've been like on this like early 90s kick lately with, grunge, the beginning of the grunge era, which we spoke about with our friend Paul.
Sure.
But yeah, it's going to have to be Cherub Rock off of the 1993 album, second studio album, Siamese Dreams by Smashing Pumpkins. Ooh, yeah.
Very nice. Haven't heard that one in a while. So I look forward to hearing that one when I do the edit on this.
Indeed. What
do
you got?
Well, as a reminder to our listeners and our viewers, if you're new to the show, we have a Spotify Song of the Week playlist. We put all of our picks in their entirety into that playlist. We put the link into the description of every episode. And if you're watching the video version, we also put a Spotify scan code on the screen. So all you have to do is open up Spotify on your phone or mobile device, tap on the little camera icon in the search bar and hold your device up to the screen, and it will scan the code and take you to our playlist. We'll put this week's picks in there, and we have all of our previous picks in there as well, so you can check those out. And I'm actually going to go a little bit further back, and I'm kind of keeping in with the acoustic theme here because that seems to be what happens after I attend these acoustic guitar league meetings. Yep. I heard it on the radio today and I was like, oh, this is going to be my song of the week pick. I'm going with The Chain by Fleetwood Mac off of 1977 Rumors, which
phenomenal album.
It is. I'm not a huge Fleetwood Mac fan, but there's some of their songs that I really love. This is one of them. I hear it and the radio gets cranked up. It's an amazing song. And I learned some fun facts about this song when I was looking up some stuff for notes for this. I didn't realize a few things here. It's the only song on the album that has writing credit from all 5 members of the band. And the reason is because it's actually created from pieces of rejected material from all of the members of the band. So it was actually assembled by splicing tapes with a razor blade and manually piecing them together out of all these different tapes that the members of the band had put together, which I had no idea. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't looked it up. So I thought that was really interesting. The guitar that they used is a dobro, which is an acoustic guitar, and you may have seen one, either a musician playing one, or if you've been into a guitar store, you've probably seen one. You might just not have known what it was, but it's got an outward facing resonator cone. So it almost looks like there's a hubcap where the sound hole would be. It's a big metal piece there. And that's apparently what they used to record the acoustic part on this particular song. It's also, according to the tab I found, capoed and in drop D. I'm finding that capos are a thing in the acoustic world that apparently I need to dig out my capo, because I'm going to need it for a lot of different songs. This song, there were a couple of covers of it that have been done. One that I totally forgot about by a group called Tantric, which that group consists mostly of the guys who were originally in Days of the New, and they were an all acoustic band. And it was a little bit heavier than the original Fleetwood Mac version, but it still maintained some of that classic sound that the Fleetwood Mac version had. And then more recently, 3 Days Grace and Taking Dawn have done covers of this song that are super heavy. The Taking Dawn version has this really ripping, awesome guitar solo that you have to check out if you haven't heard it. But I still go back to that original Fleetwood Mac, when, their original version of the song.
It's originality,
It's an incredible piece. If you haven't heard it, definitely give it a listen. The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, that's my pick for this week. So amazing. Smashing Pumpkins, Fleetwood Mac,
can't
good
get any
stuff
better
in there,
than
some
that.
good classics. Exactly. And on that note, is a reminder to our audience, if you have ideas for a future topic, or maybe you want to be a guest on the show, or if you're a local musician and you have a song that you'd like us to listen to and do a bit of a review on the show, reach out to us. There's a few ways you can do that. You can leave us a voice message on our Anchor page at anchor.fm/distorted opinions. You can also find links to our social media accounts, as well as a partial list of the places that the show is available in audio only format. You can also just search for Distorted Opinions on your favorite podcast platform, and we'll probably be on there. We've also got a YouTube channel, which the last episode we did, Matt issued a challenge that if we could get 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, he would go into a Home Depot and play the Home Depot theme on his guitar. Yep. And if we get 150 subscribers, he will do it in a pair of shorts, a tank top, and Uggs. And we will put that on social media.
Tight shorts.
Oh boy. So
that's only
how
54.
badly do you want to see Matt in tight shorts and a pair of Uggs playing the Home Depot theme in a Home Depot is the question there, I think. So
you want it. I know. Oh, what's that? No, we don't want to see Matt, but we're just gonna give the votes. I am a man of my word. I will do it for
Tell your friends, tell your family. Go subscribe to our channel.
Tell your boss.
Distorted Opinions on YouTube. Get us those subscribers, because I at least at a minimum want video of Matt playing the Home Depot theme at a Home Depot. That I think could be really funny. So be sure to give us hit the subscribe button over on YouTube, search for Distorted Opinions there, and you'll find us. And then you can also send us an email if you're old school and you prefer to do email, distortedopinionshow@gmail.com. Leave us a comment on any of our social media platforms as well. We're responsive no matter how you choose to get a hold of us. And on that note, it's hard to believe that we've already almost done a whole hour here on the show, but
we made it happen.
That's right. And hopefully maybe we pique some interest with some of our viewers and our listeners to check out some loop pedals and some acoustic stuff here. And definitely, like I said, go check out the video of Scott playing Africa by Toto over on Distorted Opinions on our Facebook page, or head to the Guitar League of Central Mass page and look for that. They've got a bunch of other videos of him performing last night as well. They're all fantastic. So definitely go give them a watch. And on that note, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with an all new episode. See you later, guys. Yeah.